Here on the K-Zone 105.3 FM and AM 1280 WPKZ. Travis here for your Friday edition of the K-Zone Lunchbox. Got a jam-packed show this afternoon, and welcoming to the studio right now on the phone, the very funny Lenny Clarke. Lenny, how are you?
Hey, Travis, it's great to be on the K-Zone 105.3 FM WPKZ.
Well, Lenny, we're glad to have you here. Now, you're coming all the way out to Leominster tonight for a great show over at the Joke in the Box at the Knights of Columbus in Leominster. I understand this is raising money for MS tonight.
Yeah, you know, Dennis Wirth, he's a great guy, and I had the pleasure of doing his cooking show last week, and it was a blast, and he's kind enough to donate some money to MS. I have two sisters with multiple sclerosis, and I've been involved with raising money for them for the last probably 25 years. But I recently did a 150-mile bike race.
Yeah.
And I got to tell you, a bike ride, not race. Never again. I mean, I'll continue to raise money, man. That my ass is still sore.
Well, Lenny, next time you do it, they have those bikes that have like the engine as you're paddling, so it helps you out a little bit. Maybe you can sneak one of those in next
Travis,
time.
I've seen those, and I actually thought about it. But you know what? The people that I'm involved with multiple sclerosis were just so nice. I couldn't do that to them. But I tell you what, oh my God. 150 miles in 2 days. That's insane, you know. And I mean, I'm 65 years old. I'm an old timer to be getting on a bike. I had to train for 3 months, like 5-6 hours a day. It was too much, man. It's crazy.
Well, that's excellent that you're able to do so. And did you ever think at this point in your career, at any point in your career, you'd be able to use comedy to give back in the ways that you have to causes like raising money for MS and you know, things that are near and dear to your heart like this?
No, you know, Travis, that's a great question. I never ever dreamed that. And it's one of the greatest gifts, and I feel blessed that to use what so-called celebrity that I've managed to put together to raise money, because I also raise money for cancer awareness and cancer research with the Neely House. We got the Comics Come Home coming up at the Garden in October, and then also autism, because I've been involved with Autism Speaks. And I've been raising money with the Doug Flutie Foundation. But I have a niece that has autism now, so it's really personal. And, yeah, whenever I can, you know, that's what made my parents the happiest, Travis. I mean, they liked me, you know, being on TV and everything. But the thing that made them the happiest was when I was raising money, especially for kids, you know.
Yeah.
I mean, I love kids. I'm no Catholic priest, but I do love children.
And looking at comedy, when you mentioned your parents, when you first told them that you were going to be a comedian, you know, what was their initial reaction?
Oh, my God. My mother said, what? My father said, we don't have anybody in show business in this family. Get a city job, for God's sakes. What's wrong with you? You won't make a lot of money, but you'll always be working. And
so you didn't go with the city job. Instead, you went to do comedy. And at the time, it's not like the Boston area was really known for a thriving comedy scene. So what was it like to kind of be on the, you know, the cornerstone of that and to help really build up Boston and make it known in the comedy world?
Well, you know, Travis, you've done your research and you've done your homework, because, yeah, there was no stand-up comedy in Boston. There was like maybe one place. It was called the Springfield Street Saloon. And I went in. In fact, I was a janitor at City Hall in Cambridge. And I ran for mayor at the time, and my platform, I was going to clean up City Hall. So I lost the election, but I kept my word. I was a janitor for another 4 years. But one night, I took the other janitors out for beers, and we walked into the Springfield Street Saloon, and we saw Steve Sweeney, Bill Campbell, and somebody else. And the guys I was with said, hey, man, you're funnier than these guys. And I was funnier than some of them, but not Sweeney. Sweeney was just amazing. And I went back the following week, and I started doing stand-up. And then about 2 months later, I ended up quitting the city job, and I never looked back. So it's been great. It's been a great run for me. It's been almost 40 years.
And for you to be able to come up with comics like Steve Sweeney and, you know, Bobcat Goldthwait, Steve Wright, Sam Kinison, you know, did that constantly make you want to keep improving and keep getting better on your craft, having those greats around you as well? Oh, my God. Well, you know what? When I came up, it was Sweeney. He was a guy I really looked up to. And then, of course, Kinison, who I became real good friends with. But the guys that my idols were Rodney Dangerfield, George Carlin, and Richard Pryor. And I got to be good friends with all three of them. And as far as the other guys, I mean, you look at the superstars now.
Louis C.K., Billy Burr, Bobcat. I mean, these are all guys that used to drive me to my gigs, and now they're superstars. So yeah, it's come full circle. And I mean, Joe Rogan. I listen to his podcast every day because he's brilliant.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember giving him his first break, and he never forgot that. Yeah. Dennis Leary, another guy who I gave him a break because I wanted to talk to his girlfriend's twin sister. And it really worked out. He never forgot. Some of these guys never forgot that I helped them out. And, they throw me a bone every now and then. He's been an incredible friend. But I tell you what, I wish Louis C.K. had given me a gig, because I would have kept my mouth shut about whatever he did.
Well, that's a tough lesson learned for Louis C.K. And as you mentioned, these folks who you help mentor and the ones who mentored you, it really seems like the comedy world, especially in Boston, is really like a close-knit family. Yeah,
well, Travis, it really is, because when I first started, we didn't have a place to go, so we started the Ding Ho, and like you said, all those people you mentioned, Stephen Wright, Kevin Meaney, Bobcat Goldthwait, Paula Poundstone, Rosie O'Donnell came in. As a matter of fact, when she was going, she was checking out schools at BU, and we put her on, and she never forgot that. Mm-hmm. And now, fortunately for me, I'm doing a show with her on Showtime called SMILF, and it's not Single Mother I'd Like to. It's something else, but it's similar to that. And I'm also doing a show with Kevin Bacon on Showtime called City on the Hill. So I've been fortunate enough to see talent before it was really big.
Yeah.
And now it's, man, these guys could change my life with a phone call. So, I mean, aside from working up in Leominster, which if Whitey Bulger was living in Leominster, he'd still be free today.
He might have done even better in Lunenburg.
Yeah, Lunenburg, oh, God, yeah. Lunenburg. Well, Lunenburg is famous for Sean Patrick's Restaurant. I mean, that's 5 stars. My good buddy Derek's in there all the time. We got to keep him out of there.
I heard you're heading there later on. Is that true?
Yes, it is. I'm going in. I'm going to stop in. And I got to tell you what, I am very excited about being in Leominster, too. I found Dennis Wirth very funny the other day when we were doing the smoothie show. I mean, I know it's a cooking show, but we made smoothies. But, Leominster is the gateway to Gardner. So if you want furniture, go to Leominster and then stop in Gardner, pick up some furniture, go back to Leominster.
Looking at the shows that you're involved with right now, as you mentioned, SMILF, City on the Hill, for you making that initial transition from stand-up comedy to working in TV, you had your sitcom, It's All Relative, and then you look at some of the more serious stuff that you did with Dennis on Rescue Me. What was it like to make that transition from stand-up into acting and then incorporating some of the more serious elements, especially on Rescue Me?
Well, Travis, I'm glad you asked that question because, when I first popped, I had been doing stand-up for about 15, 16 years, and I got discovered in Montreal at the Just for Laughs Festival. And I got a show with Disney on CBS called Lenny.
Yeah.
And it was the highest-rated show they had since All in the Family. And I was a multimillionaire. I married a Playboy model. I had a mansion. I had servants. I had it all. Some people say, do you know who I am? I say, do you know who I used to be? I mean, I had everything. And then the first Gulf War broke out,
and
it cost me everything. And I had married a Playboy model / cocaine dealer. What could go wrong? And she was Jewish from Alabama. So, I mean, I had quite a run there. And now, I talk about it in my act, and people, they can't believe it's real.
Yeah.
But that's the whole thing with me, When I first started, I didn't have an act, and I was just like a crazy drunk in a bar, but people found it funny. And now, after 40 years of doing this, I've honed an act, and I pretty much talk about my life, and it makes people feel glad that they're not as screwed up as me. When I did the transition, to get back to your question, I did Oprah. I didn't have sex with her. I did her show, and it was called From Stand-Up to Sitcom, and it was myself, Jerry Seinfeld, Dave Coulier from Full House, and Kevin Meaney, who unfortunately has passed on, and he did Uncle Buck. So we went on, and we were supposed to do a few minutes of stand-up, and Jerry changed the he said, I'm not going to do it. And Oprah was furious, And she came into the green room and said, Jerry, you should have your people tell my people last night. You can't pull this. I told the audience that you were going to do it. And she looked at Dave Coulier. What about you? And Dave Coulier said, well, I'll do what Jerry does. And she looked at me and he, what about you? Well, I'll do what the other guys are doing. She looked at me, what about you? I said, Oprah, I will wash your floors. I am so happy to be here and be on your show. I'll do stand-up. I'll do whatever you want. So I hit it off with Oprah. And I ended up doing stand-up on the show, and it came out great. I wonder if you can see that on YouTube. Well, anyway, the transition, becoming an actor, was easier than doing stand-up because people, I remember I got offered a job at Paramount Studios.
Mm-hmm.
This was after I had Lenny, and the guy said, we're going to give you a movie deal. We're going to give you $1 million for the first movie, $2 million for the second movie, and $2 million for the third movie. So $5 million for a 3-picture deal. I have one question to ask you. I said, what's that? He said, can you act? And I said, hey, I make believe I'm having fun with you, aren't I? And he said, get out of my office. And I went, no, I was only kidding. I thought that was so bad. Biggest mistake of my life. Well, one of the many biggest mistakes I made. Transition to acting was easier than doing stand-up.
Is there anything, looking back now, that you'd tell your younger self to maybe try sooner or do differently?
Oh, God, yeah, everything. It's funny. Dennis said to me, if you could do anything different, would you? I said, yes, everything. He says, well, you might not be where you are now. And I go, yeah. I'll take the chance. Yeah, I made a lot of mistakes along the way. The booze, the drugs, the crazy women. It was all fun. Don't get me wrong. Mm-hmm. But I think it was a detriment in every situation, keeping me from pursuing where I wanted to be. Now, I am very fortunate to be where I'm at now.
Mm-hmm.
And let's put it this way. I'm in the fourth quarter of my career. And I really still, when I'm on stage like tonight, I'm going up there to make these people laugh their ass off. I really want to put on a great show. But all I ask is just listen. Don't come in thinking you're going to be a funny heckler, someone I haven't dealt with in 40 years. I've been married 3 times. There's nothing you're going to throw at me that I haven't dealt with. Shut up. Let me perform for you, and you'll have a great show. Let's do it my way. I know what I'm doing.
And to see the comedy landscape change, as you say, you're in the fourth quarter of your career. You look at where stand-up has gone and where it's been and where it's going. Any advice to any young stand-up comedians who might be listening in right now who want to try it, who want to give up the 9 to 5 and go and pursue comedy or the arts?
Yeah, you're not going to believe when I say this, Travis, but in all honesty, work clean. Mm-hmm. I'm filthy. I've been filthy for 40 years. But, I've managed to be clean pretty much on your radio show out of respect to you, and I respected the rules. Mm-hmm. When you work clean, you open up your horizons so much more. You can do corporate gigs. You can work for Disney. You can do so much more. Now, I'm not saying don't do what I do. Do as I say. Don't do what I do. I mean, I've had a great career. However, it would have been even more lucrative had I become clean years on. Leno used to tell me when I was his opening act, we're clean, man. It opens up more doors for you. And I said, well, isn't it selling out? Mm-hmm. He looked at me, counted his cash, and said, no, man, it's not selling out. It's cashing in. So for a young comic or comedian, male, female, you can do what you want to do, but work clean because that gets you on TV, that gets you specials, that gets you corporate work, which is very lucrative. And, it opens up more doors. That's the only recommendation I would give. Because, hey, don't listen to me. Look at where I am.
And you've gone very far, and I love watching your career throughout the years. And I know we got to let you go in just a moment, but again, listeners can check you out tonight at the Joke in the Box at the Knights of Columbus. I do have one more question. Looking at those you've come up with in the comedy scene, your influences, if you could pick, an ultimate perfect lineup to hit the stage with, comedians either alive or passed on, who would be your dream performers to be up there on stage with?
Well, let's put it this way. One night there was a showcase at the Comedy Store in L.A., and I went on after Arsenio Hall, Robin Williams, George Carlin, Sam Kinison, a couple other guys I can't remember, and then me. Eddie Murphy, and then me. And I went on after Eddie Murphy. I said, wow, Eddie Murphy, I thought he was Irish. I didn't even know he was black. It got a laugh. You wouldn't get a laugh today, but that got a laugh. And that was like a dream lineup, minus Rodney Dangerfield, who was so good to me. Richard Belzer, another one who was so good to me. And then the guys from around here, Sweeney, Gavin, Rogerson, Meany, Tony V, Artie Januario. A guy I'm working with tonight, Jack Walsh, Tumbling Jack Walsh, who I travel around the country with, and has been my opening act and my driver. Worst driver in the world, but he's my driver. And he's been a friend of mine for almost 40 years now, and a comedian who started with me and got married and had to leave comedy, and then he came back and got married again, left and came back. And I got to tell you, he is one of the funniest people I've ever worked. Tumbling Jack Walsh. He'll be on with us tonight, too, along with Dennis Wirth and a couple of other guys. Hey, I hope you can come by, Travis.
Yeah, we'll see you tonight, Lenny. And thank you again so much for joining us. And best of luck with the new TV shows. Again, you can catch Lenny on Showtime on SMILF and also City in the Hill. Again, catch him tonight at the Joke in the Box at the Knights of Columbus. Plus, later on, he'll be at the Garden for the Comics Come Home later on this fall. Lenny, thank you so much.
Hey, thanks for having me on the K-Zone, 105.3 FM, WPKZ.
Lenny, thank you so much.
Hey, thank you. Appreciate it, Travis.
Anytime.
My best to that crazy son of a gun, Derek.
All right, we will do. And also joining us, Dennis, founder of the Joke in the Box. Dennis, for you to bring these comedians to the Leominster area, what's that like for you?
Yeah, I mean, I'm the guy booking them, and it's like you're standing next to them, and it's like, can I get your autograph? I mean, it's quite the thrill just to work with them. I mean, being a local comic, I mean, my celebrity status goes about Worcester County, and outside of that's about it. But to bring in guys national, I mean, I learn from them. You listen to a genius at work right there on the radio, so it's just a thrill to work with all the legends.
And at the same time, it's got to be great, as Lenny was mentioning, the fact that you guys are able to help raise money for MS. I know this is a cause that's close to you as well.
Yeah, I've dated a girl, Amy Reed. She's the biggest sweetheart you ever meet. 9 years she's been dealing with MS, and I see firsthand what a mean disease it is, and it needs to be cured. I mean, and you think insurance pays for all this stuff, and it don't. I mean, she had one leg brace she needed. She had to put on over $1,000 of her own money to get. I mean, who's got an extra $1,000 for one leg brace laying around? Yeah. It's a tough disease, but that's why some of the proceeds tonight we're going to send over to MS, because we need to cure that disease.
Now, as Lenny mentioned, he had the opportunity to be with you on your Comedy Kitchen show.
Comedy Kitchen on LTV right here in the lovely town of Leominster. And we've had some big names on there, and Lenny's one of the biggest. And, hey, Johnny Appleseed to be proud, okay? So what can I tell you?
Well, where can listeners watch that show?
It's locally Comcast has it on Channel 8, and Verizon, I believe, is Channel 24.
And you've got it streaming on Facebook and YouTube?
Yeah, you can go to the LTV website, and it's also on YouTube, too, so we're worldwide.
Awesome. Well, go check it out. And again, don't forget the Joke in the Box tonight at the Knights of Columbus. What time does the show start? What time are doors?
Doors open at 8. Show starts at 9. Tickets are still available if you want to give us a call.